I played a crazy 2-5 session, plenty of pots just like this. Let's get right into it. I walk in and the floor member's like, hey, and I was like, yo, can I play some 2-5? And he said, no, we have no seats. And I was like, fuck! Then he's like, we've won 3? I was like, okay, yeah, for sure, I'll take it. He said, okay, kid, grab chips at the cage, and your seat is over there. So I buy in for $500, which is the maximum, grab my chips, and we head over to the table. In the first hand, we have King 8 of clubs in the big blind. The cutoff makes it $15, and the button and small blind make the call. Since the opening is from late position and there's a bunch of dead money, I actually like 3-betting this hand more. Plus, it's 1-3, so anytime someone 3-bets, everyone's like, oh my god, his aces are king. But I complete, which I don't think is a crime. It's perfectly fine. I just prefer 3-betting. But anyways, let's see a flop. Dog piss. Cool. I end up check folding, and nothing important happens. I get moved to the 2-5 game. As soon as I sit down, everyone's like, oh my god, Corey's here. Let's do a bomb pot. It was actually a dealer change. I'm not that important, but my ego. This bomb pot, actually, we play against a fellow vlog watcher named Steve. First board comes 10-7-3, and the second board is King 9-8. I start off with a check, then the next guy checks, and the next guy. And the next guy. Now I'm starting to get worried. I'm like, can someone please bet? I have the world on both. The button, my boy Steve, puts in a bet of $80. I was getting scared for a second that this was going to check around. Absolutely not. We're going to put in a check raise. I make it $250. Action folds all the way back to Steven, who takes a look at me, eyes me up and down. He's like, see you on the river, pussy. All in. I snap call. So just like that, I sit down and over $2,000 is in the middle. Turns out Steven has ace-king, so we are in phenomenal shape. Pretty much have the top board locked up, and we have an open-ended straight draw on the bottom. So dealer, let's run 4 cards, ship me the money. Let's make it happen. The top board brings a 10, so we immediately boat up. The bottom board brings us a queen. Just like a homosexual, this lady does nothing for me. Top board brings an 8, and the bottom board is another brick. So that's just phenomenal. We chop it up. All of my serotonin released within this moment, and now I am clinically depressed because I feel like I should have won more than I got. But you know what they say, don't cry over a mountain spilled of milk, and I don't, fuck all this, fuck it, dude. I should have won the money, and I didn't. Shortly after this, we pick up a hand which is a lot easier to play. 2 rockets. There are 3 limpers to me. Since I'm in the small blind, which is the worst position imaginable, gonna raise a little bigger. I make it $40. The hijack calls, but everyone else folds. Going heads up to a flop of Jack 6-2 with 2 hearts. If this guy has a jack or a flush draw, I don't think he's folding. I don't have a heart, which is great for me. So I start off with a bet of $50. The hijack surprisingly raises to $150. If I had a heart, I think calling is the best option, but without one, I think calling is a big fat mistake. Calling and checking turn gives him the option to check back all of his flush draws. Allowing him to realize equity for cheap is like letting a stranger walk into my house, steal a safe, punch me in the face, and leave. I don't really want that. Additionally, if he has a jack, there are a lot of turn cards that will kill the action, like any ace, king, queen, heart. If he has a set of 6s or deuces, God bless this man's soul. He's obviously getting it all anyways. So, for these 2 reasons, let's just pile more money in the middle, shall we? This guy has around $600 behind. I would like to raise to an amount that commits him with all of his worst hands. I make it $400. The guy across the table was like, how much is it? Dealer said, $400. The guy's like, I'm all... Call! We call! What do we have? Turns out the hijack has queen jack and rivers a queen. No, I'm kidding. It comes brick, and we scoop a massive pot. I got you for a second, though. Don't lie to me. I did get you. Here we pick up Jack 7 of diamonds in the cutoff. Low jack limps, and I make a $30. The button, small blind, and low jack make the call. We go 4 ways to a flop of no hopes or dreams. I'm quite the optimistic son of a bitch, so when that's the case, I'm going to check. But
Action ends up checking around, and the turn comes another 3. Action checks to me once again. I know there's 4 players in this hand, but if the small blind or low jack had anything good, I think they would bet the turn, and if the button had something good, I think he'd bet the flop. Considering this, and also everyone's body language is just screaming, get me out of this hand, I want to move on,
I'm just going to flop my meat on the table, put in a bet, and hopefully everyone folds. I throw out a bet of $60, and everyone said, "Oh my God, put that away, dude." Everyone runs away screaming. The floor manager came over and said, "Corey, keep your dick in your pants." I said, "Sorry."
Our frivolous behavior gets rewarded, as within 5 minutes we pick up aces again. The hijack raises the $15. I'm certainly putting more money. I have the birds, dude. I got 2 $50 to play. The button, who is the tightest player at the table, cold calls. That's very interesting. The hijack comes along as well, so the 3 of us go to a flop of King 6-4 Rainbow. The hijack checks, I bet $50, and the button raises to $150. The hijack folds, and action's on to me. Like I said, this guy's the tightest player at the table. He could have a set of 4s, a set of 6s, or he's overvaluing a king.
And who knows? Maybe this is the one time all year that he decides to bluff. So regardless of what he has, I think the best course of action is to call. So that's what I do.
We go off to a turn card, which is the Ace of Hearts. Oh my goodness. As much as I want to get all of the money in the middle, it doesn't make sense to lead this card, because if I had a king just clear checking, plus if this guy has a set of 6s or 4s, ace king, he's not going to stop betting, and this opens the door for a check raise. I check, praying to God this guy throws anything in the pot. Unfortunately, he taps the table right back, and I'm like, no, why? So we go off to a river card, which peels off an inconsequential duck, and now it is my turn to place a value bet. At this point, I think it's pretty clear he has a king, but this guy wasn't the type to call light. As weird as it sounds, I'd rather target the hands that are just played in a weird fashion, like sets of 6s or 4s or ace-king. I'm just going to target those holdings, especially when he's not going to call with a king. So I make it 575 to go. The button goes into the tank. Truthfully, I think this is just a little bit of posturing. I think he just has king jack or king queen, but I don't think I was getting paid a single penny from those hands. So after a while, he ends up folding. So it is what it is. We move on. Life is good.
Here we pick up another pocket pair in late position. The low jack limps, and once again I say, "Suck on this, limper," and make it $30. This time, however, the button, big blind, and low jack all make the call. Going 4 ways to a flop of King Jack 8 Rainbow. I am not going to bluff into 3 other people, so when action checks to me, I'm just going to tap the table and pray to Jesus. We see a turn card, which doesn't improve me in any capacity, and once again, action checks over to me. It feels like a similar situation where no one's that strong at all, so I decide to stab for $60. And immediately get punished by the button, who raises it up to $325. A stream of piss trickles down my leg as I release my cards into the muck. I could not get rid of him faster. The button, he's going to win this hand. No one is going to contest it. Here we got 10-8 of diamonds in middle position. Under the gun limps, I make it $30. And once again, 3 people call. Flop goes 9-6-3. It checks to me. I have a gut shot. I don't think I should be betting into 3 people, though. I'm feeling myself a little bit too much. I make it $60.
Correction. I'm not that much of a duster. I make it $40. The small blind calls, then under the gun jams, and I hate my life. We have 10 high, so we find the fold button.
Next, we look down at ace-6 under the gun. There's a button straddle on. The small blind and big blind limp to me. I decide to limp. If someone raises behind me, it's going to be a lot easier to limp call rather than raising, getting 3-bet. And this is just a fold to a 3-bet. So I want to play a little spicy. I'm going to mix in the a6 here. We're going to limp. We're going to play it. The button checks his option. So we go 4 ways to a flop of 8-6 deuce with 2 clubs.
Now I'm kicking myself for not raising. I hate my life.
I start off with a bet of $20, and only the big blind makes the call. Going off to a turn which peels off the 4 of diamonds. This time when the big blind checks, I'm going to bet $75. Once again, this guy is undeterred, and he makes the call. Going off to see one last card. Please show me a club. No, it's the 3 of spades. This time when the big blind checks, I think we might actually have the best hand. Draws like 9-7 or lower spade.
I'm not expecting to win all the time, but I think we have too much showdown value to turn this specific holding into a bluff. So I check and surprisingly lose, but it's to Jack 5 of clubs.
Oh my god, why could a club not come? We'd probably stack the god. Very unfortunate run out, but we've been getting pretty lucky today, so feels all right. Here we have ace-jack offsuit in the straddle. The cutoff is small blind limp. I will be doing no such thing. I raise it up to 60 bucko, and both the limpers make the call. Going off to a flop of queen-jack 10. We have middle pair, and this is quite the coordinated board. A lot of 2 pairs, a lot of straights, a lot of scary stuff. Action ends up checking around, and we go off to a turn card, which peels off the queen of hearts. For whatever reason, I end up deciding to bet this card. I think it's a pretty clear check once more. I make it $75. Once again, the cutoff raises to $325. The small blind calls. Get me the hell out of here. River's the ace of spades. Small blind checks. Cutoff bets 600. Small blind snap calls, and the cutoff has queen jack, and the small blind has 9-8. So we were drawing dead from the get-go, and my life is a big old joke. I recently changed my government ID to Robbie Lou. There's a button straddle on. We're playing 4-handed, so I'm obviously not folding suited cards. I make it $40, and only the hijack makes the call. Going off to a flop of 9-8-4 rainbow. This guy was super tight. He was just over-folding a bunch, so you could basically see bet with any 2 cards, and unless he had top pair or the stone cold nuts, you're going to win. So I place a c-bet, and sure enough, the guy folds ace-queen face up. Didn't 3-bet shorthanded. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Still playing 4-handed at this point. We look down at king-queen suited in the hijack. Under the gun raises to $20. I could 3-bet this hand, but this player had been limping every hand. So when people are limp, and then all of a sudden they raise, generally indicative that they have something pretty strong.
Plus, this guy was pretty short-stacked. He only had like 300-something behind.
I didn't want to 3-bet, and then he 4-bet rips it in my mouth, and I'm like, well, I have king high, probably not good, and I fold. So I make the call, and we go heads up to a flop of queen jack 10, 2 hearts and a diamond. That is quite a good board for me. Under the gun starts off with a check. My brain doesn't even think for more than 2 seconds before throwing out a little green bird. Chirp, chirp, what do you want to do, buddy? Under the gun, check jams, all in immediately for $310. Yikes, I wasn't expecting that. I just got shit on. The crappy part is, this guy could have a set of queens, jacks, tens, ace, king, a flush draw. There's just so much stuff that we could already be drawing so slim or even dead. I don't know. At the end of the day, I have top pair and an open-ended straight draw, so it can't be that bad to call. If I fold this, I need to walk out of the casino and never play poker again. I'm just going to make the call. Turns out we are up against ace-9 of hearts, so we have to fade every out in the world. Thankfully, this board and my ex have something in common. They both have no heart. So we end up scooping against a hand that probably had more equity than us on the flop. Certainly, we'll take it. Here we pick up Jack 9 offsuit in the hijack. I raise to $20, and the cutoff makes the call. Going off to a flop of 9-7-6 with 2 diamonds. On a board like this, I think I'm going to want to do a lot of check calling. So I start off with a check, and the cutoff throws out $15. I decide to make the call, and we go off to a turn card, which peels off quite the gross one. It's the 8 of hearts. Now any 10 or 5 makes a straight. I check once more, and the cutoff does no such thing. He throws out $50. I do have the Jack of Diamonds, which blocks Jack 10, and I consider raising as a bluff, but this is the same player who's been playing pretty face up all day. I don't have that much money invested. There'll be way better spots. So I just let it go, and sure enough, he shows 10-9 offsuit. Very nice hand, sir. Once again, you are going to own me. He wins this one. Alrighty, last hand of the night, gentlemen. We look down at 2Ks. One more and it would be problematic, but not an issue as we are in the small blind. The button raises to $20. I am in the small blind, so I'm going to make it 4x. I go $80, and the button makes the call. Going off to a flop of Jack 6-4 Rainbow. On a board like this, I think all of my hands want to be betting small, so I throw out $50, and the button doesn't think too long before making the call. Going off to a turn card, which peels off the Ace of Spades. Oh my god, that sucks. I think this player could have a lot of floats like Ace-Queen, so now he has top pair, and that obviously beats what we have. Or, if he has a Jack or any lower pocket pair, it makes it 10 times harder to extract any value. Considering we might be losing, and I don't necessarily think he's going to call with worse, I decide to slow down and check. The button looks over at me and he's like, dude, did you hit the ace? And I was like, no. And he's like, yeah, dude, me neither. This card sucks. Do you want to see a river? I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, okay, yeah, me too. Okay, so I check. So action goes check, check, and we see a river, which peels off an inconsequential 6. It's actually not inconsequential by any means. You can have a hand like 7-6 or 6-5 that now improved to trips, but I really wasn't getting that vibe. I felt like he had a jack or some sort of pair. If I check, I feel he's going to snap check it back. This might be a little thin, but I felt like it was worth a value bet. So I decided to throw out $100. He's like, dude, come on. What the I thought we had this whole, like, checking thing going on. And I looked at him, I was like, dude, sorry. I've said this before, but, like, I have a weird thing where I pay for car insurance, and it's $100 a month. So if you could cover me up this month, you'd be a legend for that, and I'd really appreciate it. The button turns back to me and says, buddy, go pound sand, and mucks his cards. That sucks. I think if I bet $50, he probably just shrug calls. Got a little bit too greedy there. Not going to complain as the money still comes. Oi! We played for 4 hours. Won $900. That is going to be it, brother. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave a like and sub, and goodbye.